Yorvo Lord of Garenbrig versus Torbran, Thane of Redfell, Alela Artful Provocateur, and Ayara, First of Locthwain. All brand new commanders. That's a turn up, isn't it? Well, we'll keep that. We've got plenty of lands. We'll just have to hope for some card draw, of which we've got plenty in the deck. Getting into a Dryad Arbor on turn 1. Do we want to play out the Dryad Arbor? We've got a tap land and Dryad Arbor. Yeah, let's go for the Myriad Landscape first. Dryad Arbor is in here for a turn 1 ramp spell in Green Sun Zenith, but sometimes you do start the turn with Dryad Arbor in hand. A Mystic Remora for Alela on turn 1, so I was just debating whether to go for Dryad Arbor next turn, then go for a land to crack the Myriad Landscape, or drop a land and go for the Emerald Medallion, and I think the Mystic Remora makes our mind up for us. Kodama's Reach. I think the Mystic Remora will still be in play next turn when we want to cast that. Let's just drop the Dryad Arbor anyway. Lightning Greaves from Ayara, just perfectly willing to give Alela some card draw. And I wonder if this is the Enchantress or the Artifact variant of Alela. Might be a mixture of two. Too early to tell so far. Looks like our opponent, yes, our opponent's paying for the cumulative upkeep on Mystic Remora. And they do get into a land, so they'll be able to pay that again next turn. Torbran playing out a land and just passing the turn. Let's go for... We'll go for cracking the Myriad Landscape. It doesn't give Alela card draw with the Mystic Remora. And it gets cracking the Myriad Landscape out of the way as well. Also won't draw the ire of too many players, I wouldn't have thought. Then Ayara coming straight into play. We will all get drained here. Then Boots being equipped, and we'll see if she wants to swing in. Alela's the one to go for here if she does. Nope, just staying put. Deciding to pay the cumulative upkeep again. Let's just crack this landscape. Then managing to make a third land, so they could pay for that yet again next turn if they want to, but they're not progressing their board state any, really. Torbran going for the first card they've played of the game, Rampaging Ferocidon. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. That is not good for us because we have means of playing a lot of creatures in this deck. I don't think we can gain life. Oh, we have the Hydra that gains us life, actually, now that I think about it. Might want that out of play. And it might be time to forget about Mystic Remora, or we could go for our commander first. In fact, I don't like to use a shuffle effect before we get into a Sylvan Library, but we're going to have to here. We'll go for our commander and the Sylvan Library. We'll have to give a card draw to Alela. Alright, we've just had to sit around for the past 10 minutes in response to me cracking the... that's funny. I get an inactivity timer, thanks to my opponent sitting around for 10 minutes. Yeah, Troll Boss, who plays Torbran, has decided to just stop playing for some reason. Where were we? I don't even know what I was doing now. We'll go for our commander, and we will play the Sylvan Library. Mystic Remora will trigger and give our opponent a card draw. Yeah, for the past couple of days now, I have been really trying hard to get multiplayer games, and I don't know what has been happening this weekend, but it has just been an absolute grind to try and get games. But not to worry, we shall carry on. Looks like we've got a couple of decent players here that do want to stick it out. In fact, that reminds me, I need to go and ban that player, whoever it was. Let's have a look. Troll Boss, yeah, need to go and ban them. Yawgmoth, Ram Physician coming down. Luckily, our opponent doesn't have any sack fodder yet, but I'm sure they'll have plenty in the deck. This is an aristocrat build, I'm sure. Don't really know what else you would do with Ayara, to be honest. Mystic Remora finally going down. Our opponent's up to 9 cards in hand. Followed up by a Thran Dynamo. Might just be a mixture of enchantments and artifacts in this deck then. Our Sylvan Library will trigger. Let's have a look here and see what we can get into. Alright, a Wood Elves and a couple of lands. Let's put a land on top and keep a land. And then we can go for Emerald Medallion, a Kadama's Reach and a Wood Elves. Yeah, I think that's okay. We'll save the shuffle effect for if we don't like something on top of Sylvan Library. We're going to shuffle with both of these spells. Wood Elves coming into play. Then we'll put a plus counter on Yorvo. And then we'll go in for a 2-mana Kadama's Reach. And then do we want to go in for Scavenging Ooze as well? Yeah, I suppose we could. It'll be more damage onto that black player, because I highly doubt they're going to block. And I'm hoping that we don't see a Sun Titan from Alela, because Sun Titan with Mystic Remora is really not good. And I forgot Mystic Remora was in the graveyard there. I think I had a mana floating. I could have exiled that if I did. A Shriekmaw, no doubt, going after our commander, although they might go after the Scavenging Ooze if they don't like the look of that. And then in response to Shriekmaw, they can sacrifice that to Yawgmoth, pointing that at our commander. And yes, they do sacrifice it to put a minus counter on the Dryad Arbor. And they'll draw a card there as well. So getting some good value there for only 2 mana. Now this looks like Alela is coming down. She certainly is. 2/3 flyer with Death Touch and Lifelink. And let's see if we get our first fairy token into play. A Sensei's Top, so most likely going for the Future Sight combo here. Whether they've got Future Sight in hand is anyone's guess. We haven't seen any artifact cost reduction yet, so not quite there, but they'll be able to get there with a Sensei's Top, reorganising the top cards. Definitely something to look out for. And we've also got a Krosan Grip in the deck, so that going on to Sensei's Top wouldn't be the worst. And then going for a Mirror Retriever. So I'm thinking this is more likely an artifact variant in that case. Do they have an artifact? Nope, just the Mystic Remora in the graveyard. And we've got a Beast Within. Champion of Lamholt, do we want that yet? Might actually be good with Avenger of Zendikar. I think we'll put the Worldly Tutor on top and pay for keeping Beast. Now the thing is, if we go for Champion of Lamholt followed by Avenger of Zendikar, our opponent will see what we're doing, and I think they'll sacrifice Ayara to the Yawgmoth to get rid of our Champion of Lamholt. Let's just shuffle away that Worldly Tutor. And we will sneak in our Champion of Lamholt. If we just play our commander, I don't think they're going to get rid of Champion of Lamholt like they would if they saw Avenger of Zendikar coming into play. And this way we can still hold up Beast Within as well. Champion of Lamholt getting a plus counter. And that means that we can swing in with the Wood Elves and the Scavenging Ooze at the Alela player. They will not be able to block thanks to our Champion of Lamholt. Now what the black player could do is sacrifice their commander to Yawgmoth to put a minus counter on Champion of Lamholt, and that way the Alela player could block here and get rid of some of our stuff. But they decide not to do that, thankfully. Now if Ayara goes for something like a Grave Titan or something that comes in with a lot of creature tokens, then it will make Yawgmoth much better, and I think we'll have to go for Beast Within in response to something like that. A Magus of the Coffers. Yeah, don't mind Magus of the Coffers, so we'll leave that. The Immortal Sun coming down for Alela. Players can't activate loyalty abilities at the beginning of your draw step. Draw another card. It has an Anthem effect, and spells you cast cost 1 less. We do have some Planeswalkers in the deck, so we don't really want to see that. And holding up counter magic as well, which we also don't want to see. But then deciding to tap a blue. Hopefully they tap out here. Make me feel much better about going for Avenger next turn. Playing a Sky Scanner. That's a 1/1 flyer that draws a card. And what are now 3/2 flyers are coming in at us. That'll be 6 points of damage. And then at the end of the turn, I think we have to get this Beast Within cast and get Yawgmoth out of the way. Way too powerful a commander to leave lying around, and they don't sacrifice it in response, they just leave their Ayara untapped. We get into a fetch, which is really good with Avenger of Zendikar, and a Mana Crypt and a Deranged Hermit. Oh, what can we do here? We can actually cast Deranged Hermit and the Avenger of Zendikar. How many creatures does that get us? If we don't play a land, it's 9 creatures. And 14 creatures with the Ranged Hermit, which will put Yorvo up to 18. Champion of Lampholt will go up a lot as well. Yeah, I think we can take a player out here. Yeah, okay, let's put the Verdant Catacomb on top, and we'll just keep one. Play out the Mana Crypt. We will play our Deranged Hermit and see if anyone's got anything for the Champion of Lampholt. Doesn't look like it. Yorvo jumping up to a 9/9. And then we'll drop our Avenger of Zendikar. And this will put a load of plus counters on Champion of Lampholt and the Yorvo as well. Then we'll play a land and put a load of plus counters onto our plants. Not that we can swing in with them this turn. And I think we've got just enough to get rid of the black player. And I really don't like the fact that if Ayara plays an Aristocrat effect and someone wipes the board, we'll have our life total taken right down. So as much as I'd like to take out the Esper player, I think we're going to have to go after mono black here. And there we are, managing to take them down to 0 exactly. And then no point in keeping any friends at the table. We'll exile the Mystic Remora with the floating mana. Looking for an answer with the Sensei's top. And then deciding to draw a card with Sensei's top, so I assume they've got something. It is an Ashnod's Altar. Ashnod's Altar and Mere Retriever can get some combos on the go. I don't know if they can do anything with what's on board currently. Deciding to sacrifice a fairy, another fairy. They've got 5 floating mana. Sacrificing another fairy. And another one, 11 floating mana. And 13. And then going for Mere Retriever. Let's see if they decide to cast the Sky Scanner. They know what's on top of their library because they spun the wheel before. Casting the Sky Scanner. Then deciding to sack the fairy and the Sky Scanner again. And now tapping black mana. This might be a Decree of Pain. Or it might be Exsanguinate. And there we are, our opponent winning with the Exsanguinate, getting a hell of a lot of mana from the Ashnod's Altar and all the tokens. And doing some recursion there just to sacrifice creatures to get the mana to go for the Exsanguinate. So apparently it's the Esper player that we should have taken out there. But like I said, I really didn't want the black player to drop a Blood Artist or something like that and then go for a board wipe. They had the mana to do it, and I'm sure they have plenty of means of getting into Aristocrat effects. And we were running low on life anyway, so had someone have wiped the board with a Blood Artist type card in play, that would have been us done for. Certainly didn't expect to see an Exsanguinate from Alela, but that's an interesting tactic to take, especially if you've got lots of creatures and an Ashnod's Altar. If we knew that they'd had the Ashnod's Altar, I might have actually swung into them expecting something like that. But they were very coy and didn't play out the Ashnod's Altar until they needed it, so it's well played by our opponent. We just barely lost our Alela game, so it's good to see a victory from her. Hope you all enjoyed it as well. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.